Welcome back. Welcome back to low power mode. Let's get it kicked off.
I got an excess of black bile, high irascibility, contemplating checking myself into facility, mental ability clearly affected,
Deep in the dumps, down and dejected.
I've been in low power mode. In low power mode. Been in low power mode all year. Think it's time to switch it up to high gear. I've been in low. I've been in low power mode all year. Think it's time to switch it up to high gear.
Woo, yes, I've been in low power mode for real. You would think that this break in between my July shows and my August shows, it would be relaxing and great and like easy on the mind, but it's been rough. This Beyoncé album has been such a gift. But yeah, I've been doing shows, moving, overlapping with some roommates for a while, and then not feeling well. So I apologize for the delay, doing the best I can in low power mode. And this episode I had to dedicate, I mean, you probably saw it coming after Kendrick Lamar's album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. This Renaissance album deserves at least a full episode. So I am giving Beyonce my full attention, Renaissance my full attention, and I mean, shit, this also ended up being like a black queer like gem. So wow, I feel spoken to. Let's get it kicked off. Music. So I wanted to make sure I was fully prepared to do this. I really didn't want to rush this because Beyonce is probably one of the hardest working people in show business, in the entertainment industry, and the work that goes in. I'm aware of a slice of the extent, but the work that goes in on her level is insane. And to have like a full family and just a company and I don't know, to do everything she does is already, it seems like a miracle. So I really wanted to do this justice. And Beyonce also is an artist who takes from other cultures and creates other bits and things in culture and creates this new collage, like a bricolage artist. And I think that it's really well done. Like some artists, they can take from culture and it doesn't feel good. I've said this before. And with Beyonce, it really feels good. And it's because she's paying homage. She's not just doing a song. She knows the references. She knows what the history of music is, and she has vision. So with that being said, I wanted to make sure that I gave this the appropriate amount of time and attention. So I listened to the album several times, and then I sat in, for the first listen, I think I sat and took notes about what stood out to me. And then little while, probably a week later or something, I sat and looked at the samples, just the samples that are used in each of the songs. And then today I listened again and just focused on the lyrics. So I feel like I'm familiar with this album. I know it. I don't know it super well, but I know it well enough to speak to it. And the very first thing that needs to be said is that it's dedicated to Beyonce's technically cousin, but he's called Uncle Johnny. It was Miss Tina's nephew, but I think he was an older cousin, so they called him Uncle Johnny. Uncle Johnny was a proud, out gay black man, and he died from AIDS complications. And so this connection to the Black queer community is authentic, and I think that is crucial for this album to work from an artist as huge as Beyoncé. You know, a lot of people are becoming more hip to like ballroom culture, myself included. Ballroom culture, Black queer culture, trans femme culture, voguing, like this sort of stuff. And you don't want to look like you're just hopping on a bandwagon, and that really doesn't feel like what she's doing. And I think it's also interesting she spent, you know, years, the pandemic years, so really kind of hunkering down and focusing while the quote unquote world was shut down. So yeah, I wanted to start there. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna dive into the album. But before I get into the songs, I also need to mention that so you have different people working in the room, right? You have songwriters, you have producers who are kind of combinations between maybe like beat makers or instrumentalists, as well as like composers and arrangers. You have, singer-songwriters, producers. You have the engineers, the sound engineers. And this is what I went to school for, and this is what I've been doing in the Bay. Well, like helping in the studio where sound engineering takes place. But there were 2 Pro Tools engineers for this team of producers and songwriters and artists. And their names are Andrea Roberts and John Cranfield. But Andrea Roberts, I looked them up, and they are a non-binary sound engineer. And I was like, yes, awesome. Already we've got queer representation in the sound engineering, like the very technical side of things. And another thing to note about this album is that it's kind of like it's DJ'd already. Everything flows. You can hit play for the first song and everything just melts right into the next. There's great transitions, and yeah, it's definitely meant to be played at the club, or in like dance environments. So super exciting to get this sort of thing from Beyonce. We've gotten plenty of dance music from Beyonce throughout the years, but this particular style, this house, you know, electro-based stuff is so dope. And it's cool to be in Berlin too, because Germany is such a contributor to the electronic music movement, and was so influenced also, like this synthesizer kind of wave. You know, this wave was influenced by like Detroit and Chicago and like different cities in the States. Their producers were inspired by stuff that was going on in Europe, like in Italy and Germany. And I think in turn, like Germany also was super inspired by some of the house and techno, like original techno makers from like Underground Sound from Detroit and stuff. So it's really cool to be kind of like right in the middle of where this album is like super appreciated. Okay, so with that little introduction, let's get into this album and let's go track by track. So the very first track is called I'm That Girl. This is a very special track because, okay, right off the bat, we hear a sample from the song Still Pimpin' by Tommy Wright III. And this was in 1995. Tommy Wright III, as well as some of the other artists on the track, are from Memphis, Tennessee. And there's a rapper, Princess Loco. She is featured on the track, and it's her part of her. It's like her rapping on this track, Still Pimpin', that is the sample that starts off the album. So it's really dope that Beyonce is already paying homage to not a well-known Southern Black femme rapper, and And I didn't know anything about Princess Loca. Like, I'd heard this song before, but I didn't like know her story. And she looked like she was so influential and put out a lot of work. So I'm excited to explore that more. But love this. In this sample runs through the whole beat. It's like part of the instrumental, which is interesting. You know, if it's gonna be a vocal sample, like, is it distracting to put it in there for the whole entire beat? But the producers did such a great job on the, like, you know, Beyonce and The Dream, and the producers on this track did such a great job. I should also mention, I didn't note exactly which producers are on which track, but there's a team of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, essentially like 23 different producers, including Beyonce, on the album. So on some there's like 2 producers, and on some there's like 7 producers, but that's kind of her way, you know. She gets like this team, and then they kind of like work separately and work together. So I forget what I was going to say about the producers on this track. Oh yeah, how they did such a good job with the vocal sample, because it really like is very smooth against Beyonce's voice. You know, she's like, I'm that girl, it's this and that. I think something that's interesting from this song thematically is she says in her lyrics, I didn't want this power. And, you know, Beyonce is super hardworking, and she is in the entertainment industry. So even if she's just about the hard work in the art, fame and celebrity is still going to be a part of what she goes through. And so I feel like when she says I didn't want this power, it probably has to do with the burden of being that famous and being on that platform, that high scrutinizing, the platform that is highly scrutinized. And yeah, I think a very cis male way of thinking and behaving, in especially in like quote unquote black music, you know, like house, hip hop, these sorts of genres, it's like I want this power. I want power. I'm after power. I need power. Da da da. And Beyonce saying I didn't want this power. I don't know. I think it's very powerful that she's admitting that she didn't want this responsibility. Excuse me. And so this song is great. My Un-American life is one of the phrases she uses, which is interesting. And when she uses the word American is interesting. Like, I think it's only in this song, and then there's a song called America Has a Problem. So, and then we'll talk about that. But this song is great. I'm That Girl is definitely like an opener, you know. It's definitely like an intro track. So then we have this really nice, smooth, bassy transition to the song Cozy. And this song, the samples are so good. They're so good. On some of the songs, some of the samples were listed twice because of the transition. So I only am going to talk about them once in the songs that they were mainly used in. So the next song is called Cozy, and it's great. The beat is great, and if you listen to, so that it samples the 1992 track Get With You by M.T.F and Lidell Townsend. And so if you listen to that track, you hear how the beat has been influenced immediately. But they do interpret it. Like, they don't just take the beat. There is an interpretation. So it's cool. And there's a sample from the very very revered in the community is T.S. Madison from Miami, a black trans woman, and she has a YouTube video called "Bitch I'm Black." I should also mention that I'm listing out all of the YouTube samples. So if you go to a song and you're like, oh, where did this sample come from or whatever, it'll be right there in the show notes. So Bitch I'm Black from T.S. Madison. And this is one of the pieces that is really nice to listen all the way through, because Maddie is talking about being black, being super black, and pointing to like kind of quintessential black things, you know, to eat, to buy, to wear. And but also it's real. And then she's talking about being trans. And she really eloquently speaks on this division in the black community when it comes to queerness, and how oftentimes black cis men are killing black trans women because of their insecurity of anyone finding out that they're attracted to, you know, boobs on top, dick on the bottom, or whatever. And so this is a really important video, and I love that Beyoncé sampled it. I think it really makes a statement, especially because we already had Big Frida from Break My Soul. So then T.S. Madison, it's like, okay, T.S. Madison's from Miami, Big Frida's from Louisiana, and these are black queer, you know, people in entertainment. It's great. She also does this little breakdown with the colors in the Progress Pride flag. So the rainbow flag with the black and brown and trans colors in there too. She does the lyrics with like each one of the colors. I loved Paint the World Pussy Pink and Blue Like the Soul I Crowned. Just so good. I loved also this lyric, been down, been up, been broke down, bounce back, been off, been on, been back, what you know about that. You know, in such simple language, Beyonce can put like such weighty things. So, and I love when she expresses vulnerability. So I love this track. Cozy is really up there for me. Okay, up next we have Alien Superstar, and we have like a great transition, like a vocal transition with the word unique, which is like a big theme in the song Alien Superstar. So in Alien Superstar, I caught all the samples. Okay, so in Alien Superstar, this is a fun track. Something that I noted was, okay, so it samples this song Foremost Poets by Moon Racker from 1998. And Moon Racker is Johnny Holiday, I think he's called. And so he was like the OG 1990 inventor of Deep House. And so Deep House is like where you have very minimal elements going on and a voice kind of like guiding it through. And so it's real, like Alien Superstar is really great. The song Foremost Poets is great, and the sample that they took is awesome. It's like this vocal thing about like a dysfunction on the dance floor, like please don't leave the dance floor. I don't know, it's great. It's this announcement. It's very housey. And this was really special too. She said that there's the sample, the chorus in Alien Superstar is like an interpolation of I'm Too Sexy from Wright Said Fred from 1991. And I like that she reclaims some things from white people. And I think this is an example of that. Like, like I don't think she took this sample to pay homage to Right Said Fred, but I think she's reclaiming I'm too sexy for like it's cute. It's great. There's a sample of the song Unique by Danube Dance featuring Kim Cooper, where Kim Cooper also says unique and puts the emphasis on this word. And yeah, if you listen to the song, like my favorite lyric from the song is unique, because the way she says it, the way the heart, like the layers and everything, it's great. It's really great. Okay, and then at the end of Alien Superstar, there's a sample of Black Theater. So Black Theater was a speech, or like a recording, like a speech from 1973 from Barbara Ann Teer. And this was so good. It was like maybe 15 or 20 minutes long, but it was so great. She talks about her background. She ended up starting this, like, the Harlem's this black theater in Harlem that was very game changing. And so she's being interviewed about it, and she's so honest and vulnerable. And essentially she got trained in dance, and it was very, very high training, like modern dance, and studying, Martha Graham, and like this very, very European, very Western lens. And she didn't like that. She wanted to break out of that. She talks about using Miles Davis instead of like some of the music that they were expected to use, and the teachers would criticize her and say that her dance belonged in a club. She was dancing modern dance to Miles Davis, and they said it belonged in the club. So this drove her, along with a knee injury, drove her to start her own theater. And she said, when people come to the theater, she says, I want you to fall in love with yourself and who you are first. It's just incredible. Like, I highly recommend listening to the Black Theater speech. Okay, so if that's, I noticed that I love the songs that include samples, because you really tell a story with a sample. It's like, it's art. It's musical art and reference. So it's so cool. Okay, so then we transition into the Barbara Ann Teer's Black Theater speech. She includes the word unique too in there, I think. And then so it transitions into Cuff It, the song Cuff It, and it's very like disco dancey, like new age disco dancey. Raphael Sadiq plays bass, drums, arp, string, and the clavinet on this song. So he's an incredible musician. If you're not familiar, Raphael Sadiq is dope. Really great instrumentalist. And this is fun. This is a fun track. It samples Ooh La 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 from 1988, Tina Marie, which was also so famously sampled by the Fugees with Fuji La in 1995. So this sample, bringing it through into 2022. And yeah, this is fun. This track is fun. The chorus is kind of like, we gonna fuck up the night. And it's just fun. You want to like be roller skating at the discotheque. And let's see. Oh, is that the next? Yeah, okay. So, I also noticed that I was trying to look in the credits to see like who was credited, and it was kind of tricky because some people, oftentimes with songwriting credits, like your own name, your government name is used. So many people have artist names that are not their government names, so it's kind of hard to see. But Tina Marie her name is Mary Christine Brockert. She was credited. And Alan Henry McGreer also credited. And I looked him up, and he was like influenced by Motown and a really dope R&B bassist. So it was interesting to know a little bit more about that song that's been sampled so many times. But this was great, this sampling. Okay, what do we have next? Then we go into Energy. Energy featuring the artist Beam. And it's definitely like Afro beats. Like it feels like it didn't make the Black is King album. It's very much that sound. I think Pharrell and Skrillex are producers on this song, and there's vocals from Beam. Energy is cool. It's it's not like my favorite track, but controversially, it it featured a sampling of it, and I'm gonna say, okay, I'll say that after. So of Milkshake from Khalees. That track was in 2003 that came out. So there was a lot of drama with Khalees, and that's another thing. But with the milkshake, with the milkshake sample, it was so difficult for me to catch. Like I had to go to YouTube, type in like Khalees sample used in Beyonce, and then of course like a bunch of media and reaction videos and stuff came up. But once I was able to find this video where it like shows the sample, it's like, oh my, it's so simple, and it's Beyonce singing. So it's kind of like Beyonce singing la 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 la, like from Milkshake, but it's very like chopped up and produced sounding. So it's like an ad lib, but less. That's the presence that it has on the track. So controversially, Khalees, I don't know where she first took to the media or to bring up this argument, but essentially the producers of the milkshake track were credited on Energy, but Khalees wasn't. And so it was tricky because Khalees essentially said that Beyonce should have let her know that she was credited, or should have credited her and called her a thief, because of the outcome of this deal that she signed, I think when she was very young, when she was recording, the Milkshake track. And so she didn't make, maybe she doesn't make the royalties that she should make on that track. And so she was pissed about it being sampled on this track that, a lot of people are going to be listening to, that she wouldn't be getting any credits, making anything off of that. And so it's a fair argument. It's a fair point, because so often artists are not credited for their work, especially in, like, I'm a big, like, music researcher. Like, if there's an album that I like, I want to go look at the credits. And sometimes an artist will have worked with artists, but you have to dig super deep to find out who else worked on that track. And sometimes they're just not credited. Like, there's so many hip hop albums throughout, like, 90s, early 2000s where there's women's voices on the track. I hear them, and nowhere are their names. And so there's a lot of precedent for Khalees's pain, but I think the issue is the way she handled it, because instead of having Khalees's team go straight to Beyonce and say, hey, Khalees isn't comfortable with this, like she wanted it to be cleared with her if it was going to be used, and she's not happy with it, and so can you please remove it or credit her? Like, that would be the way that I would think to go about it. But Khalees kind of went to the media first and called Beyonce a thief. And so unfortunately it didn't, I feel like it made, I don't know, it's so tough. Did it make Khalees look bad? Did it make Beyonce look bad? Does it matter? Ultimately, Beyonce ended up just removing the sample, and Khalees was happy with that, so that's good. But it's very interesting. And another interesting thing is this society's, like, gall or feeling like they can approach an artist and have them change the music. This to me feels very new, like to be changing lyrics after the song already comes out. And I think, we'll get into that later, but had to mention this drama because there's been so much, bullshit around it. And I think ultimately it's like, it kind of seems like a case of, Khalees hasn't been super poppin' and Beyonce is super poppin', and there's probably a bit of jealousy, but also maybe she simply did not want to be, it didn't sit with her principles for this track to be taking from Milkshake without the credit. And I feel like that's fair too. So let me know if you have any input in the comments. It would be interesting to hear what you think. Okay, and then at the end of Energy, they have some big Frida vocals in there, leading us into the none other than the Break My Soul. So I just punched the mic. So we talked about this last time, but just to re-mention, the main samples were Show Me Love by Robin S. and Explode by Big Frida. And yeah, I mean, this song is so, like, at this point the song has been out for long enough, so like I already talked about it too in another podcast, so I'll just say my favorite line was "Worldwide hoodie with the mask outside in case you forgot how we act outside." I love that Beyonce is like taking it upon herself to be like, remember to wear your mask. Like, it's not a good idea to not wear a mask. Like, don't be just getting all up in one another's business without wearing your masks. I love that because I'm kind of wary of things. So yeah, I loved that. Thank you, Beyonce, for reminding us. Okay, and then we move into Church Girl. Oh, I really liked this song. One of my early favorites. I think this one was, I feel like the album, it's 16 tracks, right? It's kind of side A and side B for me. So on side A, Church Girl is my favorite. And the samples in this song are great. And I think essentially it was like, okay, how do we connect like the work that's done in strip clubs to the church? And I think that is the song Church Girl. So the samples are Center of Thy Will from the Clark Sisters. It was interesting, only Elbernita Clark Terrell was mentioned, so I guess only one of the sisters is collecting the royalties and she shares. I don't know what their deal is. But yeah, Center of Thy Will from the Clark Sisters. So it starts out nice and churchy, and then she juxtaposes that with like dropping into this more bounce kind of situation, more strip club, and she samples the song Where They At by DJ Jimmy from 1992. If you listen to Where They At, you're like, oh yeah. It's a very heavily centered sample, like similar to Get With You on Cozy. Church Girl, it's like, oh yeah, you can really see how she put this together. And then the track Think About It by Lynn Collins from 1972. So Center of Thy Will was 81. Think About It from Lynn Collins was 72. So we've also got like 70s, 80s, and 90s in the same track, which I love. And yeah, and Think About It is very like James Brown. I think it was his band who backed Lynn Collins, and she was called like the the female preacher or something like that. What would they call her? Something like that. So she's got an amazing spirit. And so like the samples are so good. And then there's also the song Drag Rap, Trigger Man in parentheses, by the Showboys. So heavily sampled, probably why I love it. No ID was one of the producers. They borrowed from like City Girls, Twerk, and in terms of lyrics, and Nelly, and just really like classic Southern hip hop, bouncy, dancey, strip clubby music. But she's got like her message with it is like, you got church in the morning, but you doing God's work, you going in. And she's not hurting anybody. She's doing the best she can. It's so pro sex work. It's so pro, like, I don't know how to say, like, is it politically correct to say pro stripper? It's just really great. And I hope they play this in the strip clubs. I would love to know. I'd love to jump down to Atlanta or Louisiana and like Miami and see where Beyonce is being played. But yeah, she went in on this one. Oh, the song travels. There's all sorts of peaks and valleys, and taking it to church, and so good. So Church Girl was my favorite on side B. And then okay, I love the internet, the band, not the actual internet, the band, the internet. They're from LA. They were kind of like a part of like Odd Future Wolfgang with like Frank Ocean and Casey Veggies and Vince Staples and Tyler the Creator and Sid the Kid. And so Sid, who is a black like lesbian, so again, black queer but femme, and kind of the only black queer femme presence on the album from what I can tell. I mean AFAB femme, because there's definitely black trans femme presence on the album. But Sid and the internet, they have such it's beautiful music. They have such a distinct style, especially the bassist. And so Patrick Page II, the bassist from the internet, he's on this track. Sid is a producer with Beyonce. I think it was just Sid and Beyonce. And Sabrina Claudio, who I'm not super familiar with, but I know she's a singer, does backup vocals. Oh, I loved this song. It's really great. It really was like Beyonce was like, hey, Sid, I really like what you do. Let's do that for me. And so Plastic Off the Sofa, that's what the song is called. Just great production. Classic from Sid. And then Beyonce loves to do this thing where she sings the line, the bass line or the guitar riff or whatever it is. So there's beautiful moments of her singing along with the bass line in there. I love the line, we don't need the world's acceptance. They're too hard on me, too hard on you. There were some Solange moments too. I know Solange, when she composes music, she like plays the piano and sings along to it. And so, yeah, it felt very much like that. This was so stunning, so beautiful. Okay, and then up next, we have Virgo's Groove. Now, Virgo's Groove is one of the most popular songs, I think, and a lot of people have given it a super positive response. I think it's great. One of the songwriters, Darius Dixon, he worked with Beyonce on Be Alive. So, I love that song. So, and then Levin Kelly, who I was less familiar with, but I listened to a song and was like, okay, yeah, I totally hear the influence. From Plastic Off the Sofa, the next 6 tracks don't include any samples. And I don't want to say they're my least favorite tracks, but I definitely am sample oriented. So yeah, I Virgo's Groove is great. It's very disco-y and fun and glittery and just really beautiful, like what happens visually when I listen to that song. Um, it's very lovey-dovey. I think that's why it's hard for me to get into. Like the songs that are very like, let me touch you, touch me, like, can't have you leave, and all this stuff. I'm like, sounds a little codependent, but it's great. Great song. Okay, up next we have the song Move, and this one was really fun because it has Grace Jones featured on the track. And I think that's so dope because even I haven't gotten like into Grace Jones to the extent that I know I need to, in terms of like knowing my history of like Black femme, especially like queer. And I don't necessarily mean like sexual identity, but like presentation of what Black is. I feel like Grace Jones was so queer and Afrofuturistic and non-binary vibes. And her voice is just like so distinctive and incredible and deep and beautiful. And then, Grace Jones is from Jamaica originally. And then we have Tems, who has become popular over the past few years, a Nigerian singer who's very influenced from like hip hop and this sort of thing. So this Move song, it's like Jamaican dance hall kind of. And in the track, they mention bruck up. They're not saying bruck up, bitch. They're saying bruck up, it's bruck up, it's bruck up. But it sounds to me like they're saying bruck up, bitch, bruck up, bitch, bruck up, bitch, bruck up, bitch, bruck up, which is fun. In any case, bruck up is a dance style from the 90s, from dance hall in Jamaica, and George Bruckup Adams was the person to create it. I think it's like a very twisty, bendy, kind of distortion-y type of thing going on. So once again, like Move, I relate it to energy. It's kind of like another like Afro beat kind of feeling situation, and very like Black is King outtakes. But it's really good. I really like this song Move. Okay, up next, we've got this song, Heated. Immediately when I hear Heated, I think Drake. Of course, Aubrey Graham is credited on the album. Drake is one of the songwriters, which is cool, whatever. And it's like, I don't know, that like annoying kind of whiny thing that Drake does, but Beyonce makes it good. Like, I find myself having Heated stuck in my head. Well, but you could say like Drake is really good at that too, getting songs stuck in your head. But Beyonce, I don't know. There's some flow that she puts over this like Drake-ness that makes it more tolerable. So it's a great song. It's a great song. Boy Wonder, who has done a lot of production for Drake, and a lot of hot other artists, like popular. I think he's Jamaican Canadian. So Canadian. Yeah, and then they had Cadenza on here, a West London producer. It's also Afro beats mixed with like that classic Drake. And even though this song is not my favorite song, some of the lyrics in this song are really great. So I don't know if that was Drake, but whoever helped out. I should mention too, I don't know exactly which ones because again, I didn't write down that information, but Nova Wave, which is comprised of two writers, Blue June and Shy, writer-producers, they were involved on many of these tracks in writing and producing them. So there's, they're both Black femme. So that's great. I love that was like a base for Beyonce in terms of like the writing and production. So like maybe it wasn't Drake who wrote these lyrics. I love a whole lot of texting with no conversations. I love whole lot of playing victim and a villain at the same time. Oh, such a good line. Never met a girl with a mind like this. I love that she's focusing on her mind. There's a lot of focus on the body. There's a lot of focus on sex, but I love that she focuses on her mind as well. Dimples on my hips, stretch marks on my tits, body positivity. And from Beyonce, no less. So, Heated's fun. I'm heated. And then it's also the song where she goes, Uncle Johnny made my dress that cheap spandex. It looks a mess. Something like that. So, she shouts out her Uncle Johnny there. So you kind of have to love Heated. No, you don't have to love it. But yeah, that's Heated. Up next we have Thick. This is another track that's like made for dancing, made for the club, made to shake your ass to. Hit Boy and Lil Ju were some of the producers. I think Lil Ju worked with Megan Thee Stallion, so probably from Houston, all through her come up. So that's cool that Beyonce worked with him too. And this is she shouts it out in the lyrics, like Miami bass. So you have like bounce in Louisiana and you have like Miami bass, which even in little history music lesson. So in the late 70s, it was like Kool Herc and like a gang of people from Jamaica came over to New York, and in Jamaica they would like play these sound systems like out of trucks or cars, whatever. So they brought that to New York, and that was the beginning of hip hop. They would take the samples from like disco records or whatever, take the break down and then loop it over and play. And so the sound system is a huge part of listening to the music. Okay, it's not meant to be like listened to on earbuds in your ears. It's supposed to be like thumping your body from a car or from a venue. So some of these music genres from the South are very like that. It's similar to in Berlin also. You have like electronic music styles here that are very it's not meant to be intellectualized. It's meant to be felt. So yeah, so this is definitely like some Miami bass shit. I loved the lyrics. That's that Freaknik. That's that 1996. Freaknik was like this spring break party in Atlanta. That's that Moon Miami bass, 12 in the trunk, 808. So paying homage to some music, technology, and culture here. And then it ends with a computery transition into, the track All Up in Your Mind. All Up in Your Mind is, I think it's not one of my favorite tracks. Like there's so many incredible tracks. I feel like All Up in Your Mind is good. It's definitely really electronic-y, and I love that part of it. I think I don't know, it feels like it needs something. But yeah, I think the producers on this were Jabbar Stevens, and Blood Pop. I didn't have a chance to go check out like their styles and their music, so maybe this is like very them. I don't know. Yeah, All Up in Your Mind is it's like, okay, I'm gonna say it. It's kind of a filler track. It's a filler track, but it's important. Like you can't have every track be really thick and like laden with samples. It's good to have some time to like space out. Excuse me. And I can also see that like as a performer, as a listener, you do need some space. So I think All Up in Your Mind delivers space. Okay, up next we've got, we're on side B here, pretty deep. America Has a Problem. Now, this is one of my top, definitely one of my top, I'm going to say top 3. Okay. The sample from this song, there's one sample and it's very prominent. Excuse me, like some of the other examples I mentioned where it's like the sample is focused, is the focus. So America Has a Problem, Cocaine, was a song from the 90s by a group called Kilo, or maybe it was one person. I think it was several people. Kilo. Okay, and this is an Atlanta classic, apparently. I didn't know. And so there's so many things I like about this song. It's so, right off the bat, it's so classic sounding, like so 90s and so synthy and so like you're transported right there. Maybe 80s, late 80s, early 90s. Actually 80s, because the focus is in the original song America Has a Problem, Cocaine. They're talking about cocaine, obviously. They're talking about crack cocaine and the impact in the Black community. So I liked the songwriting on this because she references crack cocaine too, but it's very it's not like right off the bat you understand what it's about. But then after a while, it's like, want to get high, and like certain things, it's like, oh shit. Okay, so she's like making a metaphor with crack. Which is it's fucked up, but it's part of our history. It's definitely part of Black queer history in the 80s and the 90s. You know, that was destroying the communities. It still is. She's got like this rap moment that I love, and she also like has this like very like MC Hammer kind of like nope like thing that she does. Oh, so good. Yeah, it's simply like the beat from America Has a Problem by Kilo slowed down, like that sample slowed down a little bit, transposed a little higher, but then they pimp it out a lot, but it's great. Kilo Ali. Kilo Ali? Is that what Kilo? Oh. Miami bass. I don't even know what my notes are anymore. I love the line, just know I roll with them goons in case you start acting familiar, because I imagine it's very like Beyonce's version of Violent too. It's like she's down there in the like Lower East Side or like the meatpacking district in New York in the 80s. Very channeling. I don't know. I love this. It's, as I said, it's abstract. It's kind of like, and she references Basquiat. I was going to say this song is kind of Basquiat-esque in the way that it is like this collage of different things happening. I love it. I haven't had a chance to like exercise that much, but I think when this song comes on, if I'm like on the treadmill or lifting some dumbbells, I'm gonna like get real mean and juiced up. Okay, and then my favorite, like I can definitely say this is my favorite track, is the song Pure/Honey. Okay, so where to even start? There's 3 samples. The first one is, okay, let me give you an overview. So it's this is the like voguing track. If there's going to be a track that's played in balls for the community to like vogue to or do runway or whatever, this is absolutely it. So I see here in my notes, Michael Pollack, instrumentalist producer, Blood Pop and Nova Wave were doing productions on this, and Raphael Sadiq did some of the horns. And also it's Pure/Honey, so it's definitely like 2 songs. But she's kind of like mixed them up into the same track. So it's kind of like it starts out as one track, and then in like 2 minutes into the song, we get like a blip of what the next track is. Then we go back to the original feel. And then we jump into like the the second half or the second song, and then it ends kind of back where it started, but like with a combination of the two. So they really did a great job. I think I saw that they wanted to do something. I read that Nova Wave had wanted to do something that felt modern and retro at the same time, and so they killed it on this. Okay, so the references. So the first reference I will talk about is Cunty from Kevin Aviance from 1999. And so Kevin Aviance is a drag queen and a music performer, and he has this song, Cunty. And it's really good. I bought the song like immediately when I heard it. I was like, yes, I need this. And then it also samples kind of similarly Mike Q. So Mike Q. So I talked about the show Legendary, the show where they highlight different houses in the ballroom scene and have them like come on and compete with each other, like a reality competition show for ballroom, for houses. And so Mike Q is the DJ during the show, and he wrote produced the theme song. And I had just bought that song. It was like sitting in my iTunes library, and then boom, Mike Q, featuring Kevin, I think it's featuring Kevin Jay-Z Prodigy, from 2011. They do a song called Feels Like. And then so you have cunt. Like you have like a classic Vogue song where it's like very dancey, very, there's lots of snares and crashes, and it's very like easy to Vogue too. And then you have Kevin Jay-Z Prodigy, like speaking kind of over the track and giving you like different ballroom elements. So the way that these samples are used is so nice. The way that they're layered into one another is so nice. And and then the another sample that's used is Miss Honey, which is a track or like a video from Moi, I don't know if it's Moi or Moi Renee, who was a I think she was a trans woman. I don't think she was a drag queen. I think she was a trans woman. And she was like big in the house scene, the ball culture, all of that. And so she had this thing from 1992. It's like, I put the YouTube video in the credits. It's like her wearing this such a funny like jumpsuit. I love it. It's like this jumpsuit with like circles cut out of it. And she's just like, Miss Honey, like for 5 minutes. It's amazing. And so this is also sampled in a big way, like in a very clear way. They don't do it much to distort it. So Kevin Aviance, upon being sent the credits to the album, he was getting like all these texts and calls from friends and family about his track being sampled on Beyonce track, and he didn't want to listen to it. He didn't want to hear it. He was over it. When he finally did listen to it, he was emotional, and he was happy, and he was grateful, and he said that this was wait, let me not fuck up what he said. He said this was a love letter to the American Black queer community. And I feel it with the album, with this song in particular. And he also said that Moi Renee or Miss Honey would have been so happy to have been sampled in this track. Miss Honey's no longer with us, but it was really cool because Kevin Aviance knew Miss Honey, so it was great to kind of have that genuine love and appreciation, even though we don't know what Miss Honey would have thought. Like, it's like, oh, that's great. This is great. And I imagine Kevin Aviance didn't want to listen to it because at first he was probably like, ugh, they're extracting, they're not paying homage. But that he felt paid homage to, I think really speaks to the work that Beyonce and her team did on this track and on the album. Okay, so that's Pure Honey. So good. So good. Okay, and then last, and I love the transition too. They just bump right into Summer Renaissance, which is largely based off of the Donna Summer track, I Feel Love. It was really interesting to kind of read about Donna Summer and like get a sense of her life, because I don't know that much about her. I Feel Love came out in 1977. And I thought what was interesting was that she tried to make it in the U.S. and then like got hired to do a play in Munich, and then spent many years in Germany, and then ended up befriending these German producers, Giorgio Moroder being one of them. And then they made I Feel Love together, and it was so fascinating. Like, she used to go by Donna Sommer, like Summer auf Deutsch, but they like misprinted it somewhere, and they loved it, and she went with it. So it's so funny, the German influence. She ended up being fluent in German and spent many years in Germany. So it's like, again, this connection to Germany is strong. Donna Summer, one of the pioneers of disco. She came at a moment, and these producers thought, oh, how brilliant to put her voice over these like heavily electronic produced beats. So the influence is so clear here, and on the rest of the album too, with some of the way Beyonce sings. And excuse me. And this song, it's a great interpretation, I feel, of the original. I like the lyrics. I'm feeling way too loose to be tied down. Can you see my brain open wide now? I'm a doc, I'm a nurse, I'm a teacher. I mean, yes, Beyonce, you are everything. And she even is, there's so many black femmes talking about their Birkin bags, these really expensive bags. Beyonce says, she shouts out Telfar, which is a black-owned company. They may even be black non-binary owned, because I've been looking up like queer black-owned brands, or like black non-binary, and Telfar comes up a lot. So she shouts out this like black-owned fashion house or fashion company, and kind of disses, she says, my Birkin bag's in storage. So she kind of disses these like really expensive bags. And it's like, yes, it's kind of her like sidestepping capitalism in her own way. And I think the best thing about Summer Renaissance too is that I have to listen to I Feel Love by Donna Summer right after. So when you make music that makes people go back and listen to the songs that you sample or pay homage to, that's huge. I think that's like one of the reasons why I got so into hip hop, because of sampling. So this is the last track on the album, and when it ends, I'm like, no, every time. But yeah, what a ride. Definitely let me know if you have thoughts, what your favorite tracks are, if you hate Beyonce, if you feel like this was like I don't know. I'm interested to hear what people think. I know it's like very positive. But yeah, for me, I'm just like, I feel like this was like a history lesson, and I know I'm learning, but I know a fair amount of Black women in music and queer culture and some of the names in history there, but she really did her homework, and it's incredible. It's just incredible. So I thank Beyonce. I hope that she like gets some time to just like relax and enjoy and appreciate. But she put out a fucking masterpiece, and she's promised us 2 more albums. She's saying that this is Act 1 of Renaissance, and she's saying that there's an Act 2 and an Act 3 coming. So, I mean, how do we even, like, just breaking the mold of how music is released, doing it her own way, as usual, and just incredible. I'm so excited for the visuals to come out. You know, I feel like we've got to get a video for Break My Soul. We got to get a video for either Church Girl or Pure Honey, and it's got to involve like strippers and vulgars. and so I would love to see Beyonce go like full queer dancer vibes on the visuals and the like dancing that's going to come out for this album. I'm trying to be patient, like the rest of the world, but yeah, what a gift. I feel like from Kendrick, I was propelled into like spiritual growth, and from this album, I'm propelled like back into my history. So I hope this was enjoyable. Once again, I hope you've heard the album, and it'd be great to hear thoughts and all that stuff. Once again, wait, let me play the soundbite and then I'll do a little check-in. Hey, listen, sometimes you gotta check in with yourself.
Check in with yourself.
Okay, so what were we talking about? Oh, yeah. So, again, it's been kind of a crazy time. I thought it was going to be a chill time, but it's been crazy. And I have a lot of shows in the span of like from Saturday to Saturday, essentially. The thing about doing the shows and the podcast, the shows I use my voice to the fullest extent, and I have to do a lot of vocal rest beforehand. So for instance, it's Wednesday today. I have Thursday and Friday to rest my voice, and then Saturday I'll do a show. But part of the reason why I don't want to do the podcast weekly is because I don't want to put that stress on my voice. But another reason why I haven't been able to do it weekly is because all of this stuff going on, not only, you know, with the schedule, but also with my body. And I just felt so tired lately. And I think it's because I'm not used to like performing and doing these things. So when it's showtime, I can really put on, and then I need like 3 days of rest to like get back to where I was. So yeah, so I want to stay connected. I want to let you know I'm thinking of you, and I love doing this podcast. It really is great for me. So yeah. Oh yeah, and a note about my schedule. I thought I wasn't going to be doing this party in Nicole, but it turns out I am doing this party in Nicole. So the next Berlin dates are the 18th. There is a show that is this birthday party, 10-year celebration of this group. Give something back to Berlin. So yeah, in the evening on, the 18th, I'll be playing there. And then on the 16th, I think I'm going to do this jam in Görlitzer Park with the B2B crew, femme rapper crew. So 16th, Görlitzer, 18th is, I thought it was in Neukölln, it's actually in Kreuzberg. And then on the 25th, I have a show at Schokolade in Mitte. And then on the 30th, I have the last show at Das Gift in Neukölln. So that's the quick update on my performance schedule. I want to post more performance videos, so I'll be doing that. But thank you so much for your support, whether it's here in Berlin or from afar. I appreciate it so much. So happy to share my journey and talk about things and music and all this shit. So sending you love and yeah, hope you're listening to some inspirational shit as well. All right, until next time.
I've been in low power mode. In low power mode. Been in low power mode all year. Think it's time to switch it up to high gear. I've been in low. I've been in low power mode all year. Think it's time to switch it up to high gear.